Good evening, Miguel. Can I get a mic check from you? You're still on mute, Councilwoman Hammond. Good afternoon, evening.
Hola, hola, hola. ¿Cómo están? ¿Sí? Aquí.
Okay, I have 6 o'clock on my watch and my phone, so I hope you have the same. So we're gonna go ahead and call this meeting to order. And hopefully we have at least the over 20, the 25 on the call. So I believe that we do. So I want to welcome everyone to our first of a few meetings for our Human Rights Commission Task Force. My name is Councilwoman Nikki Nice, and it is an honor and a privilege to be with each and every one of you. Some of you I have met and had the privilege to come in contact with, and some of you I have not, and looking forward to how we can all work together to ensure equity and inclusion for our city, and work to do the same as far as our state is concerned, looking at the same projects and the same efforts when it comes to human rights. So some history is going to be told as far as what we've done before and how we're going to be able to work together to ensure that this task force is working on the mission for human rights. So we do have two other co-chairs for our Human Rights Task Force, and I want to make sure that we give them an opportunity to be recognized. And I will be presiding over our meetings. So there are a couple of things. I have my list for this video conference. So thank you for joining us for this conference meeting. I almost forgot, but I have it. So I'm going to read all of this. So please bear with me. We have a few announcements to make regarding the teleconference meeting. If the video conference is disconnected at any time during the meeting shall be stopped and reconvened once the audio and video connection is restored. If communications are unable to be restored within 15 minutes, items remaining for consideration will be placed on the special meeting agenda September 17th at 6 p.m. via video conference. The agenda and documents are located on okc.gov. Anyone wishing to speak about an agenda item, please text 405-757-4429. Please provide your name, phone number, the item number, and the reason you wish to comment. And speakers will be allowed 2 minutes to comment. And I ask that all participants, please keep your phones on mute until you are recognized to speak. Committee members, you will be allowed to ask questions or comment at any time during the meeting. We do ask, there is a chat feature, I believe, if you can use that. If you want to raise your hand, please feel free to do that. So we won't have, I'm sure all of us have been on Zoom calls, and we know what it's like when everyone tries to talk at once. It's not fun. So if we can all make sure we have our hand raised, so we can be recognized, that would be very helpful for us to ensure we have a productive meeting, because we are going to end promptly at 8 o'clock. So with that being said, I want to introduce our co-chairs who are with us, and they also want to give us a welcome. And then afterwards, we're going to go with an introduction. So I will ask Dr. Andrea Benjamin to give a few words, and following her will be Mariana Adams.
Hi, thank you all so much for joining us. We know that you all are very busy, but we also know that you all care about this topic, and that's why you've committed your free time. I do want to thank Quentin, who did a lot. We worked together, and Quentin, we appreciate all the work that you did to get us to this point. I don't know all of you, I know some of you, so I'm looking forward to working together, and I'm excited about what we can accomplish during our time together. Thanks for coming.
And Mariana Adams.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Mariana Adams, and I am a Ward 8 constituent. First, I would like to issue an Indigenous land acknowledgement statement. So I want to honor the home of Osage Nation, the land in which many of us live, work, and play here in Oklahoma City. So coupled with and beyond words, we can further honor them through them and their sovereignty through commitments and actions. Secondly, it'd be remiss of me not to acknowledge and take pause of the current events and the latest tragedies, especially given this topic. And as many are processing and grappling with and contemplating, there are real communities, individuals, and families who are grieving. And so I just wanting to honor them and their families and their loved ones. And finally, I would like to say to each of you, as I look around the virtual room, each of you care so deeply about our great city, about Oklahoma City, and your commitment is in part why you are here. And although we may love our city and care for our city through various and different vantage points of views and lenses, that diversity contributes to the greatness of our city. And so whether you're focused on making tough decisions around public health for the safety of all of us, we appreciate you. Whether you are focused on beautification projects through volunteerism, we appreciate you. Whether you are recruiting, developing, and educating our next generation, we appreciate you. Whether you're focused on economic growth and opportunity and making sure that our city is competitive and has jobs for folks to provide for their families, we appreciate you. And so although we may have various perspectives and that contributes to the richness of this group, we just want to be intentional and act in great faith and say that if we are truly seeking to transform our city to the next level through a human rights framework, we must first transform ourselves and the relationships that we have with one another. And so I'm just proud to serve alongside each and every one of you. I know many of you. I look forward to getting to know you all through this exercise as we seek to reestablish the Human Rights Commission here in Oklahoma City. Thank you.
Thank you all for that introduction, and you're welcome. So what we're going to do, because a lot of us do not know each other and a lot of us do, we're going to do some introductions, and there are a lot of us on here. So we're going to have to do this decent and in order. So what I'm going to do is read from starting with our council members that are with us and go alphabetically from beginning to end. And if you would like to speak, please just give us less than a minute of your name, why you are interested. I know some of you were asked by different co-chairs, and some of you were asked by our mayor. And we also want to take the time to thank our mayor for establishing this task force for us to consider those recommendations and for us to bring back what we need to happen for our city. So I've wanted to begin with Councilwoman Jo Beth Hammond.
Thank you. Hi, my name is Jo Beth Hammond. I am the council member for Ward 6 here in Oklahoma City. In my full-time job, I work for Mental Health Association Oklahoma, working to end the stigma of mental illness, addiction, and homelessness in the state. Thank you.
Thank you. We have Councilman Todd Stone.
Thanks, Nikki. I'm Todd Stone, and I am the councilman for Ward 4, which is primarily southeast Oklahoma City, includes Capitol Hill. And I'm really excited to be a part of this. I love hearing diversity of thought, and that's what I plan on doing, a lot of listening, and I just love hearing everyone's different viewpoints. Thanks.
Thank you. We also have Councilman Mark Stonecipher. Okay, we'll move on. We have State Representative Chelsea Branna.
Hey, good evening, everyone. Really excited to be here. I am hoping to be able to get some of the potential state pieces of statute changed for us if we end up needing that to happen. Human rights and social justice have always been a pretty big part of my wheelhouse and very near and dear to my heart. So I'm very excited to be on this and very excited to meet all of you and work alongside you.
Thank you. I want to make mention and recognize Dr. Quentin Hughes as well, if you want to introduce yourself.
Good evening, everyone. Again, my name is Quentin Hughes, and I am president of Northeast OKC Renaissance, Inc., very involved in our activity in trying to revitalize Northeast Oklahoma City, also employee of Oklahoma City Public Schools, and I'm very happy to be a part of this opportunity to make change and to do it alongside you all.
Thank you. Sharday Allen. Taz Michael. Lieutenant Miguel Baez.
Yes, I'm here. Hi, everyone. My name is Lieutenant Miguel Baez. I'm with the Oklahoma City Fire Department, and I'm part of the recruitment department there. So as you can tell, we're trying to diversify the fire department, and I'm happy to be here and assist in any way I can.
Thank you. Major Vashina Butler.
All right, good evening, everyone. Nice to see everyone. As Nikki said, I'm Major Vashina Butler with the Oklahoma City Police Department. I am the division commander over the Spring Lake Division, and I look forward to working with everyone and moving the city forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Major Tink Collins. Okay. Valerie Couch.
Hi, everybody. I'm Valerie Couch, and I'm a faculty member at Oklahoma City University School of Law. So I'm teaching the next generation of our lawyers for the city. I am the prior dean of the law school, and before that, I was a federal magistrate judge and a practicing attorney here in Oklahoma City. Just thrilled to be here with all of you to work on this very worthy project. Thanks.
Thank you. Raven Crisp. Reverend Larry Crudup.
Thank you for having me on. This is Pastor Crudup. I'm with Tabernacle Baptist Church. I serve there as the senior pastor, and I'm just a community leader that's concerned about our city. So thank you for allowing me to be on this committee.
Thank you. And I have Mazael Dani. If please correct my pronunciation.
Hi, I'm Maziel Daney. I'm a program director at Catholic Charities. Graduated with my PhD in biblical interpretation last May, and an ordained minister through the Cooperative Baptist Fellowship, and a native of Puerto Rico. So I've had a lot of experiences professionally and personally in diverse contexts, and that's what led me to want to join the task force.
Thank you for being with us. Brandy Davis. Daquan Irvin.
Hello, everyone. My name is Daquan Irvin. I'm a sophomore at the University of Central Oklahoma, born and raised the east side of Oklahoma City. Just young and super ambitious to help our community in any way I can. Super excited, blessed, and privileged to be a part of such a diverse group of people with good position. I know a lot of people on this call are all working in different fields, all have different professions, but I'm just super honored and privileged, and I'm excited. Can't wait.
Thank you. Cynthia Garcia.
Hi, everyone. Cynthia Garcia, pronouns she, hers, ella. I'm a community leader here in Oklahoma City. Originally started organizing around immigrant communities with Dream Action Oklahoma, part of United We Dream under the Community Defense team. And I'm just really interested in continue to expand the conversations around how immigrants need to be included in all local and state policies in Oklahoma. So thank you for the invitation.
Thank you. David Hall.
Hey everyone, David Samuel Hall. I am a teacher out of Oklahoma City Public Schools and do a lot of child welfare, homelessness, and juvenile justice advocacy. So that's my focus.
Thank you. Anna Harmon. Rabbi Barrett Harris. And correct my pronunciation, Rabbi.
Your pronunciation was perfect. Thank you. I'm Vered Harris. I'm the rabbi at Temple B'nai Israel on 49th and Penn. I'm very happy to be here. Thank you for the invitation. I'm steeped in my work of justice, civil rights, human rights, a lot of study and teaching, and it's really a privilege and an honor to get to work with this group of people to make something happen great for our city.
Thank you. We have Jason Henderson.
Hi, everyone. Jason Henderson here. I work for Stryker Corporation, and I've helped lead the diversity and inclusion at our corporate headquarters into the field ortho cells across the country. So it's been a big focus from our CEO down. Oklahoma's home for me, even though our headquarters is in New Jersey.
We're glad you're home. Melvin Harris.
My name is Harris. I own like home care in Oklahoma City. That's why I'm from Los Angeles, California. Northeast Oklahoma City, flip house, the east side of Oklahoma City. The goal of putting more home, help people the founder of Harvest in North Oklahoma City. I don't know how I can contribute yet, but I'm looking forward to the opportunity to seeing what I can do to contribute to pushing the cause forward.
Thank you. Dr. Marcia Dempsey Heron.
Hello, everyone. I'm excited to be here. I'm a lifelong educator. I was proud to have served as the former dean of the School of Education for Langston University. And I'm 1 year into my tenure as the Chief of Equity and Student Supports for Oklahoma City Public Schools. And I'm here because human rights mean everything to me and to the multitude of children that we serve. So preserving their rights is very important, and I'm happy to do whatever possible. I look forward to working with everybody in this very important endeavor.
Thank you. Deborah Jenkins.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Deborah Jenkins. I'm the Executive Director of the Oklahoma Housing Finance Agency. I have been an affordable housing advocate for over 30 years, and I really appreciate the opportunity to serve on this task force.
Thank you. Jessica Rose.
Hello, my name is Jessica Rose Johnson. I'm a Marine Corps veteran and suicide prevention advocate. I actually lead the federal initiative for the Mayor's Challenge for Mayor Holtz to reduce veteran service members and their families' suicide here in Oklahoma.
Thank you. Laura Lang.
Hi, I'm Laura Lang. I'm a resident of Ward 8. My pronouns are she, her, hers. I'm also the CEO of Thrive. We're a sexual health collective for youth. So we're a collaboration of organizations working together to reduce teen pregnancy in Oklahoma County. And I also serve as chair of the Oklahoma Women's Coalition. Both of these organizations and collaborations have a priority focus on equity.
Thank you. Gabrielle Morales.
Hi, my name is Gabriel Morales. I go by Gabe. I'm a recent graduate from the University of Central Oklahoma and a potential law school candidate where I hope to focus on immigration. So I'm definitely excited to work alongside y'all. Thank you.
Thanks, Gabe. Ebony Muhammad. Ayana Najuma. Cindy Nguyen.
Hi, everyone. My name is Cindy Nguyen. My pronouns are she, her, and hers. I currently work at the YWCA in Oklahoma City, providing direct services for survivors of domestic and sexual violence. And I also teach equity inclusion training, so I'm very glad to be here.
Thank you. And I know I am going to mess the next name up, so if you can help me, I have Tuan Nguyen.
It's Toon.
Toon. Hi, Toon.
Hey, Councilwoman Nikki Nice. My name is Toon Nguyen. Hi, everyone. I am the president of the Asian District Cultural Association. I'm also on the Oklahoma City County Health Department Equity Steering Committee, and I'm very looking forward to working with all of you. It was an honor and a pleasure to be able to bring this together. I feel like equity, inclusion, and health human rights is most important to our city to make it thrive. So looking forward to everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.
Here's my puppy.
Yeah, it looks like you got some assistance for you right there. I know we skipped by Miss Ayana Najuma. My apologies. I understand you were trying to unmute.
I thought I had unmuted. Can you hear me now?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I'm Ayana Najuma. I was saying that I probably feel like the grandmother of the group. My background goes back to 1958 on August 19th, when I was one of the original sit-inners at Katz Drugstore. So I've been doing social justice work and been involved in making change around the country for a long time. Been back in Oklahoma for about 8 years, and I am the founder of What Lies Between Us with Ayana Najuma, which is a conversational platform on social justice, as well as I Have a Voice Now, which is a national movement for children around advocacy and activism. As a matter of fact, tomorrow, What Lies Between Us will be launching a campaign called Make Your Vote Count, around encouraging people to register to vote, to request absentee ballots, and to make sure their information is correct in the election database. So I'm excited about being here. As I was thinking about when I was a kid, like 17, 18 years old, and for some reason, At that particular time, I was very active in NAACP Youth Council, and I believe that they were starting a Human Rights Commission back during that time, and I was asked to sit on some boards. So I'm going to have to go back and look at that, but it's exciting. I'm excited to be around all this talent, all this skill, and all this commitment. Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you. Seisha Primo Shaw.
Can I say something right quick? Seisha is my cousin, so it runs in our DNA.
Yes, ma'am. Seth Rott.
Thank you, Madam Chair. My name is Seth Rutt. I am a lobbyist here in Oklahoma City for a local government relations firm. In addition to the professional responsibilities, I also advocate for the LGBT community. So I'm very excited to work with everyone here and looking forward to getting some great things accomplished.
Thank you. Adam Soltani. Angelica Villalobos. Stan West.
Hey, how y'all doing? It's good to be here. Good to see all of you guys. I'm an attorney here in Oklahoma City, and most importantly, I am on the board of the Association of Black Lawyers, and I can say with confidence they are proud to kind of have me represent them and be part of this. And I just look forward to working with all of you.
Thank you. Dr. Angel Wilson.
Hello, everyone. I am Dr. Angel L. Wilson. I am an educator, a longtime educator. I am a public speaker, and I also am a justice advocate. It also runs in my family, Miss Ayana, so I understand what that means. If you've ever heard the name Mukes around Oklahoma City, Mabel Mukes, that was my great aunt. So anyway, but I'm very excited to be a part of this movement and this group, and I'm interested to see what exactly we're going to do with this platform and see how we move talk to action.
Absolutely. And I know we had a couple folks join us, so I'm gonna go back around for the people that I know did join us. I know Anna Harmon is with us.
Just one moment. This is the interpreter speaking.
Yes.
I cannot see her yet.
Hi, this is JD Baker from staff of City of Oklahoma City. I'm currently texting Anna to make sure she's connecting. She says she doesn't see you quite yet.
This is the interpreter again. Okay, I don't think she can see me, but I can now see her.
I believe she's looking for you.
Okay.
She says she sees your name, but not your face. Sees your name on the list of participants.
Okay. Can the rest of the group see the interpreters?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you for your patience while we try and figure this out. It appears that she still cannot see us.
Let's see.
Is there a way for her to FaceTime?
Councilwoman, she's on the call and we can see her.
Hey, JD, just texted you. If you could ask her to go or text her and go to the window at the very top and then select Zoom webinar. I think her participant list is up, but her window may be behind another window.
Zach, I'm texting her right now. So thank you for everyone for your patience.
No problem. Can you also see, JD, if she is looking at her view is for
She just signed that. She said, I can't see you. She said, Charla,
can she switch to gallery view?
Let me see. Try gallery view.
I'm trying, but I can't see the interpreter. I don't know how. I can't see the interpreter. There's no interpreter.
Charla, maybe if you speak, your screen will be the pop up initially, and she'll be able to pin your video.
Hello, can you see me? Hello, can you see me?
Yes.
We know you can see Major Butler. I'm wondering, I'm like, as far as her screen, I guess that's where the concern is for me as well, that Zach was asking about, JD.
Yes.
She says, yeah, they're waiting for me, but I can't, there's no interpreters. I can't see the interpreters. I'm sorry,
No,
she says.
Don't apologize for that.
She just sent me a picture of her screen. She's on her iPad. Oh. Zach, is there any way that you can, is there any way to bring the,
if she's on her iPad, she would need to swipe left or right to pull the next set of screens up.
Thank you, Reverend Crudup. I will suggest that.
She said that we could just go ahead.
Okay.
I apologize. And if we can get work through that, we'll go tell her we'll come back to her so we can make sure she is recognized.
Wait, can she see the, I think she signed, she can see the interpreter.
Okay.
Okay, she can, is it Cassidy or Charlie? I'm not sure which one it is, but.
So I'm gonna get off and then just try again.
Okay.
Cassidy.
Yeah.
She says she can see Charla, but I text her that you are signed.
Well, if she can see Charla, Charla can go over for this, take over for this part.
She said yes.
She can see me. Okay. Okay, hello, my name is Anna Harmon. I apologize for the technical difficulties. Thank you for letting me join. I'm a school teacher at Northwest Classen High School, involved in the Deaf Ed program there. So I'm excited to be a part of this team.
Thank you so much. And this is what human rights is all about. So don't apologize. We don't mind waiting. Sharday Allen. I know I saw you on here, so if you can unmute and just give us an introduction of yourself.
Hi, my name is Sharday Allen. I am a planning and integrating specialist for the Boeing Company, and I'm also the president of the BBA, which is the Boeing Black Employees Association for the Oklahoma City site. I do a lot of public speaking and events about diversity and inclusion in our city. I'm a part of a panel called Let's Talk, where we have open forum and discussions about race, diversity, and inclusion. And I'm very excited to be a part of this team, and I cannot wait to get to work with all of you.
Thank you so much. And I also know we have Raven Crisp with us as well.
Hey, sorry guys, I'm in the car driving and running like crazy. My name is Raven Crisp. I am born and raised on the east side of Oklahoma City. I am currently the president and founder of Selfless Hands Foundation, which is a nonprofit organization focusing on family welfare advocacy, emergency crisis, and disaster relief right here on the northeast side. I'm involved in a lot of different other initiatives and currently an MBA graduate student at Oklahoma City University. So I'm really excited to work with you guys and continue just fighting for our human rights in this community. Thank you.
Thank you. If I missed anyone that joined us and did not get a chance to introduce themselves, please feel free to do so right now.
Hey, Nikki. Hey, everyone. This is Seisha Primo Shaw. I'm sorry, I've been running around doing a lot here at home, but I'm also in lifelong East Side resident, and I'm also the president of the Young Democrats of Oklahoma, and I'm just happy to be on to help facilitate in this committee. There's a lot of things that we need to get done here, especially on our side of town, and I'm just happy and excited that I was picked to serve on this committee, and I look forward to meeting everyone.
Thank you. Is there anyone else? Okay. With that, I do want to make sure that we recognize our staff that is assisting us through this process as well, and we are grateful for them to be with us. We have Jane Abraham.
Hello.
We have Sharita Bryce.
I don't think she's on with us.
Okay. I just want to make sure she's recognized.
Yes, she's doing a lot of work.
We also have Zach Nash. He's kind of in the background helping us with the IT, and we're thankful for him. And we also have Jared Beatty.
Hello.
There he is. And we also have Rita Douglas Talley.
Hello. Good evening.
So as you see, these are our city folks who are helping us through this process, and we're grateful. And also JD Baker, who works in the office of the mayor.
Hi, everyone.
Thank you. Okay, now we've gone through that. Now it's time to go to, we have item 1, 2, and 3 handled. Item 4 is our background and history, and Mariana will take it from here.
Thank you, Councilwoman Nice. This will be brief in the interest of time, but I think it's important that we all have a baseline and fundamental understanding of how we arrived here. So in particular,
Let me get my notes. There we go. As part of the national civil rights movement, human rights commissions were formed across the nation at both municipal levels and the state level. In particular, when we think about the Oklahoma Human Rights Commission at the state level, it was implemented by the legislature to mandate removing friction, eliminating discrimination, and the promotion of unity and understanding among all the people of Oklahoma. At the city level, the Oklahoma City Human Rights Commission was established in the 1960s as well, early 1960s, to help guide the city on matters of civil rights and discrimination, and they did that for nearly 30 years. According to the bylaws, the fundamental purpose of that commission was the elimination of discrimination in all forms, to uphold the rights of everyone without distinction as to race, creed, sex, color, national origin, age, handicap, ancestry, and to do this through hearing and investigating complaints, cooperating with the city, state, and other agencies concerned with human rights, studying institutionalized discrimination, and seeking solutions that might lessen the potential dangers in such situations. This commission in particular at the city level was, it changed in nature throughout time, yet and still it mediated numerous discrimination-related disputes. And in addition, they conducted education. Again, it served in its purpose for 30 years. It was disbanded in 1996, and I would note that that was by a divided Oklahoma City Council. I'll note back to the state level that after 50 years of existence, in 2012, the Oklahoma Human Rights Commission was also disbanded, and a new Office of Civil Rights Enforcement and the Attorney General's Office was formed through legislation, and henceforth given authority to protect and defend civil rights under Oklahoma law. We will learn more about state statutes relating to anti-discrimination law and local Human Rights Commission authority in the coming agenda item from city staff. Where we are currently, I would note that the city of Lawton, the city of Tulsa, the city of Norman all have active human rights or human relations commissions and or departments. In that regard, when we look nationally, the top tier cities or the majority of the top 100 largest cities have a human rights or human relations commission and or department to improve intergroup relations and to address discrimination related to a broad spectrum of daily life, employment, housing, education, healthcare, safety, and et cetera. Is there anything that anyone else would add, Councilwoman Nice or Rita?
Well, what I'll add to the conversation, and thank you for that background and history, is as we were preparing to get with the human rights co-chairs, other co-chairs, and also our city staff, it was important for all of us really to understand the overall realms of what has been done and what our task force is preparing to do to go forth. And I know it's important to note, and I was told this by one of the previous Human Rights Task Force Commission members on the state level. They said that they had been trying to eliminate the state Human Rights Task Force for years, and they finally got enough votes to do it, and that's why it was disbanded in 2012. So it's interesting to understand the dynamics of why you don't have these types of task force, especially in the state of Oklahoma and now in Oklahoma City. So I would encourage you all, as we continue to work through this, just do some more of that background history and research as we work through this process. Thank you so much to Ms. Adams. Thank you, Mrs. Adams. And well, that moves us to our next item, which is the statutory legal authority of a local human rights commission and Oklahoma Anti-Discrimination Act. And that's going to be from Mrs. Rita Douglas Talley.
Good evening again. I'll be quick. This is a very long statute. So if you have questions later, my email address is on the front of your agenda, my phone number as well. Feel free to call. My co-counsel is Jared Beatty. Feel free to contact either of us, copy both of us so we can keep up with what your concerns include. What I'd like to first tell you about the act is that it provides for the exclusive remedies within the state of Oklahoma for individuals alleging discrimination in employment on the basis of race, color, national origin, sex, religion, creed, age, disability, or genetic information. And that is kind of the whole point of that section. What I want to go through quickly, though, is the portion on local commissions. So the first one, 1701, describes what a political subdivision is. And of course, that is a city, an incorporated town, or a county within the state. So a political subdivision is also a school district and some other things, but this definition includes those things for purposes of the Human Rights Commission. So a local commission could be a group that is created by more than one political subdivision. The other thing, section 1702 describes local ordinances, and it empowers political subdivisions such as our city to adopt and enforce an ordinance prohibiting discrimination. And again, these are fixed areas by statute: race, color, religion, sex, national origin, age, disability, or genetic information. And there is a definition in the statute for genetic information. It has to do with medical matters. The next section, 1703, says, again, a political subdivision or two or more political subdivisions acting jointly may create a local commission to promote the purposes of section 1101. And if you'll recall, that was the one that we went through first about the purpose of the Human Rights Ordinance. And the idea of the local commission is to secure for all individuals within the jurisdiction of the political subdivision, so within Oklahoma City, freedom from discrimination because of those protected categories that I mentioned before. Cities are also authorized by statute to appropriate funds for the expenses of the local commission. The one that I wanted to spend the most time on, though, had to do with the powers of a local commission. And there are 6 listed powers. There's actually 5. The 6th one has to do with the report. The first one is to employ an executive director and other employees and agents and fix their compensation. You heard Mariana talk before about the commission that the city had. There was city staff that worked with that. The second one is to cooperate with individuals and state, local, and other agencies, both public and private, including agencies of the federal government and other states and municipalities. The local commission can accept gifts, bequests, grants, or other payments, public or private, to help finance its activities. And then this is the one that I really wanted you to know about, and that's number 4. That is to receive, initiate, investigate, and seek to conciliate complaints. So those 4 things: initiate, investigate, and seek to conciliate complaints alleging violations of the Anti-Discrimination Act. That's important to look to because sometimes the conciliation of a complaint is all that's necessary in order to resolve the concerns. You're empowered at number 5 to make studies and to allow the commission to effectuate its purposes and policies, and to make the results of those studies available to the public. And it says that you are to make a report at least annually. Now there's a typo in the statute. It says that you're to furnish it to the Oklahoma Human Rights Commission, but of course there is not one of those. So what we recommend is that you make it available to the Attorney General's office in the specific Office of Civil Rights Enforcement. And then this is where the partnerships come into play. And that is Section 1705. The Attorney General has quite a bit of authority under this act to do a number of things, but one of those authorizations is to refer complaints to a local commission. And then once that complaint is filed with the local commission, it is theirs to investigate, to determine whether or not there is reasonable cause to believe that the respondent has engaged in a discriminatory practice, or to assist in eliminating a discriminatory practice by conference, conciliation, or persuasion. Now, the last Human Rights Commission we had in Oklahoma City, I was staff attorney, and we did quite a bit of conferencing, conciliation, and persuasion, and it was effective. That's something that you might want to consider. And then if something is referred to the local commission, you are to make a report and make recommendations to the Attorney General and do other things that are within the scope of your powers. And finally, the other authority of a local commission is to transfer a complaint to the Attorney General's office. And that can happen at any time that after you receive the complaint. But what's important to understand is that once you do transfer it, the local commission has no further jurisdiction over the proceedings, except for to actually do what's necessary to implement the transfer to the Attorney General. So a local commission's authority and abilities are limited by statute to just a few things in terms of what is actually written in the statute, but your powers on those limited areas can be used in whatever manner that you're able to come up with as a body. But it is important to know that this is the only authority that a local commission has. I encourage you to read the entire Oklahoma Anti-Discrimination Act. It is included as a link. When you receive the packet, there should have also been a link to the entire statute. And if you have any questions, again, please feel free to email me or Jarrett. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And I'm sure we're going to have questions. Okay. David Hall, I see your hand raised. If you don't mind, I'm going to go to hold that question and I'm going to go to the next item. And I'm sure we'll have a discussion from there after we understand and hear the next item. How does a Human Rights Commission work? So Dr. Benjamin, if you'll address that, and then we'll go to our questions. So therefore we have a broader scope of everything.
Sure, thank you so much. So I think hearing from Ms. Douglas-Talley is really important, sort of about what are the legal constraints. And we do want to work within the statute, but I also think, you know, again, as Moriana said earlier, right, most cities have these commissions. And so I just want to give us a little bit of breadth to think about what they can do. And then in a second, I'll share my screen because I have an organizational chart. And I just want us to try to understand where any commission, and obviously if we do move forward and decide as a task force that we want to implement a Human Rights Commission, I just want everyone to understand where it situates itself in the city organizational structure. So in many ways, different cities do their commissions differently. And so again, this is just a list of what they might do. And again, building off what Rita just told us, right? There are certain things we can do, but within that, I want us again to just think sort of as broadly as possible so that when we get to work, we have these things in our mind. So again, there might be a data collection portion, right? So we might just report on the compliance of on human rights at the local level. We might educate the public and the state and the agents and agencies that represent those entities about sort of what the right standards are or what the human rights standards are that we might want to follow. We can incorporate human rights into our advocacy efforts. We can investigate complaints, right, as Rita said, and we can issue recommendations and guidelines, right? In many ways, right, conducting research is probably one of the most important things that we can do, just so that we have a sense of what goes on. Again, thinking about how we might inform the city about the process by which they might bring a complaint if we institute a commission, I think is really important, or just the things that we learn. We can make policy recommendations, right, as a body. So part of that reporting that goes on at least annually, right, it might be a policy recommendation. One goal is that, you know, our body would hopefully could seek to ensure fair interactions with the city, make sure that that contracts are awarded fairly and with transparency, working on fairness in the hiring process at various levels. And really, I think for me, at least as a scholar, one of the most important things is I think that a really good human rights commission can reduce intergroup conflicts, right? Because we have a standard, we're constantly educating one another. And then when there is a problem, we have a way to resolve it sort of in a very set out process. Obviously, we want to protect our residents from discrimination in housing on the basis of many of the categories that Rita laid out specifically. Another important thing we might do is actually hear cases, as she mentioned, right? So this quasi-judicial component. And then training, right? Facilitating training within the city, within our communities to make sure that we're moving forward with the best practices as it relates to human rights. So we're gonna play Zoom bingo right now, and I'm gonna try to share my screen and hope that it works. So let me share my screen, and here we are, and share. Okay, so this is the organizational chart from the city. And as you can see, if this becomes a commission, right, this is where all the other boards and commissions exist, right? So they're related to the mayor and council in the rules and regulations that govern those commissions. Typically there's rules about how do we get appointed to the commission? Typically that comes from the mayor and council, right? Who gets to serve on the committee, right? We'll decide maybe some criteria. Some human rights commissions have a geographic requirement. Some of them, I don't know who's at my house at this hour. It's COVID times. I hope it's the male person. I'm not going to answer. Right, that you might have geographic representation. We might want to represent the communities. I know that when we put together this task force, we were very intentional about hearing from various voices. That might be something that we consider, but it's a direct link to the mayor and the city council. And I think what's really important is that, you know, as Rita said, right, we make recommendations and we make them directly to the mayor and council. And that's really the relationship. And so, you know, obviously we're not elected. And again, one thing that we will decide as we, you know, if we decide to move forward with a commission is sort of setting the rules of term limits, right? How big will it be? What will be considered a quorum? Will everyone have to attend every meeting, right? So these are going to be this is part of the work that we're going to do, but I thought that it was really important that we understand where a board and commission could be situated in our city, and that we really do think creatively and broadly about what we could do and still follow what Rita just said, which is we do have some rules and regulations, but try to be creative and think as broadly as possible within those. And so I'm going to stop sharing my screen. And as council member and I said, I think this will be a good time to go to questions if people have them.
Okay, I know we had a question from David Hall, so we'll start there. And then I saw the hand of Reverend Cruder.
Yes, I actually have two, if I'm able. First is that would we be in conflict if we, just looking at the section 1101, would we be in conflict of that section if we were to either expand the protected classes or to work outside of just employment?
Yes, the authority is limited to what the statute allows. Okay. It's very specific.
Okay. Thank you. And then specifically, would the city need to be the one to make the change for the report to the Oklahoma HRC, or was that just from the former municipal statute that we had?
This is actually state law, and it's just a
Oh, okay.
typo. It says that you file a report with something that doesn't exist anymore. But what we know is that the Attorney General's office is who took over that function. And so we would send a report there if you had a local commission.
Yeah, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So does this, I know that it's a statute, we're limited under the law, but as it pertains to the recent Supreme Court decision, would we have to now expand that to deal with sexuality and identity? I know that this was written a while back, but the Supreme Court has recently made that decision. So what does that mean for this particular statute that we have?
It means that the legislature might want to take a look at that. But right now, we are empowered by the existing statute. And so our authority as a local commission goes directly from that. So until the statute is changed, that's the authority that a local commission would have.
So my suggestion, I know we had a person on here and I can't remember who it was. We have a whole bunch of people that's working on that kind of legislation. That would be one area that we definitely need to lift up and we need to push on.
Okay. So just understand though, that until that happens,
yes, ma'am,
we are obligated to operate under this one.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Are there any other questions?
I have a question.
Okay.
When Mariana was talking about the history and the background, there are two things that came to mind. I was wondering, Mariana, you said something happened in 2012. Rita, is there anything that would, I guess the first question that came to mind was, who was leading this charge to totally discontinue everything? And then when Dr. Benjamin was talking about the data collection, as we look at how we may want to move forward, have we looked at what appeared to be, or will we be looking at what appeared to be some of the major challenges that put them on that road to totally want to discontinue everything from the very, in 2012? And since you were talking about legislative pieces, who was leading that initiative to get rid of the Human Rights Commission anyway?
It was actually in the mid-90s. I think it was about 1996. And what was in the news and of great concern to many people was protection in areas of sexual orientation. So there were a lot of people who came to council and wanted to have that particular protection, which was fine, it seemed, by the city council. But what then happened was that a lot of people appeared and had some rather strong comments and did some kind of unusual things that I won't go into in this forum, but please feel free to call me and I can tell you in more specific detail.
Is that what brought us to the conclusion of 2012?
Well, I'm not familiar with this.
So Mariana mentioned something about it in 2012.
Right. So the city, Oklahoma City Human Rights Commission was disbanded in the 1990s. The Oklahoma State Human Rights Commission was disbanded in 2012 due to what was named budgetary issues and allegations of being inactive. Through our research, through various committees, those committees can take a deeper look into that. I think that you're bringing up a valid point, and even look into Reverend or Pastor that made the point about sexual orientation. I know that the city of Norman has that included. I don't know if that's enforceable, again, given to what Rita said, because we have to abide and be within the parameters of state law, but they do have that stated within their bylaws as a city. So again, through the committees will do due diligence of doing some of that investigative research, fact-finding research.
So one last question in reference to you, Dr. Benjamin, when you went through your list of potential areas of consideration. The first thing you mentioned was data collection. Was it your sense that, and I'm one of those kind of people, you and I know each other a lot, I love you, that, best practices, what cities, states are looking at some of the challenges or have addressed some of the challenges that were problems for us here in Oklahoma and how they dealt with those. And so therefore, whether it's legislatively, statewide, or whether it's a local city component, Mariana, that you may have brought up earlier, how we may, is that what you were thinking, Dr. Benjamin, in terms of data collection?
Sure. So I mean it in both ways, right? So one is we as a task force, I think a couple of the committees that we are interested in setting up for subcommittees has a research component. So one is exactly what you're saying, thinking about what are best practices in our peer cities. So we've done some legwork on that. There will be some research on legislation, which, alluding to what Mariana was saying, trying to figure out like, okay, what's the statute? What can we work within? How is Norman able to list it, right? What are we doing with that? But then if we decide to move forward and reestablish the Human Rights Commission, I think the commission itself will have a research component, if only to keep abreast of what is the status of human rights in the city, right? So that, whether that reporting is, that not one person has come forward to make a complaint or 100 people have come forward to make a complaint, right? That we would have that information to share with the public and to really, understand. And I'm sure, honestly, if people, wanted to, they could continue to do research with our peer cities to think about what type of work are they doing? What types of, things have they worked on and put out? So I think it could be ongoing. So yes to both. Yeah.
The question you just mentioned was, do they even know there's an opportunity to make a complaint? So
correct. I think that's an important first question.
And they do. They do know that.
Okay. Thank you very, very much.
David, did you have another question?
Sorry, yes. So to Dr. Benjamin's point, would we be able to do data collection by the HRC outside of the protected classes or outside of employment?
You could do whatever kind of research you'd like to do at any time, and you could present that research as maybe a basis for a change in the legislation. You wouldn't be limited in terms of research, just in other factors.
Okay, thank you.
The limits, when you think about the functions of a human rights commission, there's a lot of depth and breadth to Dr. Benjamin's point. The limits come when you talk about enforcement, really the function of a human rights commission in the enforcement arm. Outside of that, when you're talking about maybe perhaps mediation, Rita, if you could chime in on that, but when you're talking about education, research, partnerships, make recommendations, there's a lot more latitude there.
That's exactly correct. You do have some room to do some things in terms of educating the public, and you as a commission could decide what those things would be and what direction, what path you would take to get to that.
I always ask the question, what makes the great great? There are cities that are doing things that, we take a little bit from Chicago, a little bit from New York, a little bit from Atlanta, and you end up, making Oklahoma the leading human rights commission in the country because we've taken a little bit from everybody. I'm sure there's some chefs in this room that know how to cook in terms of doing that kind of thing.
And I think that's what we're going to talk about as we get to more further down the agenda of what that work is going to look like. So we have the task force, the next item, task force's role, expectation, and norms. So I do have a sheet in front of me, so I'll read what we have here. And the dates are listed in order for the city council to establish this Human Rights Commission and department. And the meeting dates, we do have some that are to be determined because they will not be rescheduled until they are officially formed. So we have today's date. We do have committee meetings. Our next meeting, obviously, September 17th. We have an October 29th, November 19th, December 17th, January 28th. And this timeline suggests February for the resolution presented to City Council and for the City Council to have a vote as well following that procedure. So there are some recommendations for the Oklahoma City Human Rights Commission Task Force guidelines. And we know why we are here. We're here to do the work. We're here to be respectful of each other's space and honor each other in this space as we do this work. And these guidelines, we do ask that we balance our listening and talking, learning and teaching others. We will suspend preconceived ideas in order to fully listen and learn from the points of views of other task force members. And we will keep an open mind as to considerations of what kind of city we wish to be in the future. And we will welcome and respect different opinions on substance matters, understanding they contribute to our work, and acknowledge that legitimate differences may arise based on differing generational, cultural, and political values. And to the fullest extent possible, we will seek consensus on resolving task force member differences, but also acknowledge that full consensus may not always be possible. We will work to achieve active support for the City of Oklahoma City and its process, including its development, adoption, and implementation of programs for the enhancement of human rights in our city. The focus of our work will be on the present and future and on the interests of the community as a whole. We will respect and learn from previous and existing plans, but not be constrained by their policies or underlying philosophies. We will share the airtime, that is, we will offer statements, express opinions, ask questions, etc., in a manner respectful of the team's scheduled meeting time, and refrain from speech making. Emphasize that we are not acting as commission itself. So be mindful of that as we continue to do this work. And if individuals feel compelled to share personal experiences, not to identify other parties involved, as they may or may not be present. And this is not a forum to discuss or process cases. So we just want to make sure we get those, our role, expectation, and norms covered for us to be knowledgeable and work through as we continue to do this work. So our next item is the subcommittee members and the scope of work, and we have Mariana to do that.
So reiterating what Councilwoman Nye said, so the goal of this task force is to pull together a formal framework and proposal to submit for the City Council's consideration when we're discussing reinstating or reestablishing the Human Rights Commission. Due to the intricacies of human rights, as we have learned in its various functions, including investigations and enforcements and potential impact, we figured that it was best to organize this large commission around working committees or subcommittees that have distinct focuses and objectives. And so I'm going to go through those very quickly. Many of you all, thank you for participating in the questionnaire. Not everyone has completed that. I believe that's on the agenda item. Dr. Benjamin will talk about that. But as you indicated your preferences following this meeting as a look ahead, those subcommittee members will receive an email to schedule a meeting and to get that work going in the same format and fashion. It will be a public meeting. There will be a public agenda, and citizens are able to tune in and to make comments. So going into the committees, there's the Working Relationships Committee, and when we talk about the Attorney General's Office, the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission, Metro Fair Housing, so on and so forth, those agencies that interface, interact, or have some sort of authority related to human rights, building those relationships. So to establish interagency understanding as it relates to education, investigation, and enforcement of human right related matters. And that will be the focus of that committee. For policy and legislation, which we've discussed, this group will determine current or proposed enabling or prohibiting local or state law as it relates to human rights, a local human rights commission. for the status of human rights in the city, data collection and analytics, to collect and assess secondary data across various domains specific to Oklahoma City or the metropolitan area, if available. And for the last but not least, the case study research group to provide municipal best practices and outcomes as it relates to the formation and implementation of a human rights commission and or related department. Again, as a next step, committee members will be contacted to meet outside of our regularly scheduled meetings. There is an action plan that's suggested with a few activities that contribute to the overall achievement of the objective, but we want to give you all agency to contribute to that, to mold it, to shape it, and then those committees will ideate, have a healthy deliberation, do some fact finding, and then propose some recommendations to this body. And that's it.
Are there any questions as far as those subcommittees and the scope of work that we all heard?
I see
They're,
Angel.
they're basically 4.
Yes.
I have a quick question. So I guess it's a two-part question. How were the subcommittees identified? And then 2, is there a reason that there were already subcommittees formed before we met as a collective task force?
Those are great questions. And I think that there'd be opportunities if we want to have a discussion around additional subcommittees or committees, we can discuss that. Based off of our research on human rights commissions, again, and the intricacies, its relationship to the state, its relationship to understanding the landscape or local context through data, and just research related to the implementation of local and state agencies. There was a guiding framework through the Columbia law, and I can share that resource with you. And we organized ourselves as such to be most impactful.
I see a hand, David Hall.
So would we by chance be able to be a part of multiple subcommittees, or should we only be able to have one?
David, if you want to be an overachiever as you are every day, you are more than welcome to. Yes, if you want to participate in more than one subcommittee, and if you were not able to indicate that through the Google form, please email city staff or one of the co-chairs, and we'll make sure that you are added to the invite. That's a good question.
Well, which one do you want to be on, David? Let's start there.
Well, my main one is policy, but I'd like to be a part of data collection as well.
Okay. You mentioned though, Mariana, that there was I guess an umbrella group that oversees the subcommittees. Did I hear that correctly?
They'll report to this group. We are the larger body, the task force.
And those were all the co-chairs, I assume?
That's all of us.
That's all of us as members.
Okay, for some reason I was thinking I heard you say that the subcommittees report to a much larger group of people.
We are the large, we're the large group of people. Yeah, so it's going to be the task force. So during our regularly scheduled meetings, the subcommittees should meet in between our regularly scheduled task force meetings. And then each time we meet as a task force, those committees, I should say, will report back to the task force. Does that make sense so far as structure?
Yeah, that's not what I was thinking. I mean, I know we've got a task force of everyone that's here tonight, but I thought that you were saying that there was when you first started talking about prior to the subcommittee description, there was another, I guess I heard, or maybe I didn't hear it right, administrative oversight or something?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
But we'll be sure.
We'll be the oversight. We'll be the oversight all together collectively.
Okay.
I have a question.
If you don't mind, let me get Seth real quick. He had his hand raised, and then I'm gonna come to you, Sade.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just kind of have curious, the leadership of the respective committees, will those be selected from the memberships themselves, or will there be an appointment for the leadership of those committees from the leadership of the broader task force?
We had discussed that they would be selected through those individual committees. So that would be an item that you would want to vote on during that first meeting, as well as approving the action plan. Good question.
Thank you.
Sade? Sade, you have the floor.
Sorry. Can you hear me now?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so I just want to make sure I'm processing this correctly. So we are the overarching, which is the task force, or has that been decided or has it not been decided? And then the second part is from us, the people in the task force break off into smaller committees and develop those subcommittees. I just want to make sure that I'm processing this correctly.
That's what I was trying to do.
Yes. So we are as a task force, the umbrella, we are the larger group. From our group, there will be members, committee members serving either as chair, co-chairs, or just committee members for those 4 committees that I had mentioned: working relationships, case studies, status of human rights, and policy and legislation. And so I would prepare myself along the lines of norms so far as commitment of attending a minimal number of 2 meetings. So this task force meeting once a month, and then a committee meeting once a month as well.
Are there any other questions? Okay, if you don't, okay, we are going to move to the next item, item 9, which is the Human Rights Task Force Questionnaire. Dr. Benjamin.
Sure. Thank you all so much. Right before the meeting, I checked, about 25 of you had completed the survey. If you haven't done it, I think it's, there's no right or wrong answers. There's sort of no forced answers. You don't have to know everything, but there are 40 of us. And so it would take a long time if we were to each spend 40 minutes saying what you each think human rights is. And then, right. So we're hoping to gather that data, just process it beforehand. And then if it turns out that all 40 of you have one definition of human rights, we can share that definition and we can move on, right? So it's really just to ease the work and make it easier, just to make it a little bit smoother. So if you haven't done so, again, please do that. In particular, indicating if there's a subcommittee that you want to work on, that would be helpful. But again, we plan to, it will be transparent. We will make a report of the data to you all. We had hoped to have it today, but just given the timing, we didn't have enough responses. So we wanted to try to hear from everyone, and just wanted to make this plea that if you haven't done so, please just complete your survey so that before the next meeting, we can send you sort of where we stand as a group about, what if everybody wants 50 commissioners? That's something to think about, right? Or one person wants 1 and one person wants 50, right? We want to just be able to present a clear picture of sort of where our task force stands on those questions.
I was muted. I know we have a question from Toon. Toon, did you want to ask your question?
Yes. What is our time frame for like having these subcommittee meetings? Are we already scheduling these subcommittee meetings already, Mariana and Councilman Nice, or is that going to be in the future? That'll be sent
Can't
out?
hear you.
The question was, when are we going to schedule the meetings for the subcommittees? So that's going to be determined, and correct me, Dr. Benjamin, after we get all these questionnaires. So therefore, we can sort out who's asking to be with what subcommittee, and then therefore we can gather all of those folks together for that particular subcommittee and start doing that work.
That's correct.
Did that answer your question, Toon?
Yes, Councilman. Thank you so much.
All right. Did anyone else have any questions? Okay, we'll move on to the next item, citizens to be heard. Are there any citizens that are on the line that have signed up to speak?
Councilwoman, there are no residents to be heard.
There are no residents to be heard. Well, we have a few minutes. Is there any task force member that would like to speak or make comments in this remaining time? Okay, I see a hand raised from Reverend Crudup.
Hi, and I know that we are simply dealing with hiring, but I think that we have an opportunity to really push this city to be its best self, beyond just hiring. I think that's a grave disservice to the entire city just to focus on that, even though I know that that's extremely important. There's one thing that's on my mind that's recent. There was a older lady in our community who came out of interaction with our officers with a broken arm, and so there are times I think that we also need to deal with these cases as well. So not just with our officers, but just with how our criminal justice system is going, with how disparities in banking and all these other things that affect our community, that affect our city. So I think that's critically important. It's my desire that we have a beloved community, as Dr. King has stated, but not one that's pacified, one that really does the work to deal with these disparities. So I look forward to working with you guys, but know that I come to this meeting and to these committees with a heavy heart, and yes, at times with some anger, because I'm tired of seeing this happening. And I hope that we can all move together to rectify this.
Thank you so much for those comments, Pastor Crudup. And I think it's important for us to also understand when we're doing this work that we intersect in a lot of ways with human rights and other rights as we work through this work. So thank you for that. I know I have David Hall, so I'm going to come to you. And then I had Dr. Heron, who also had comments.
So just in regards to the joint possibility as far as joint jurisdictions, I was just wondering if, say, we were to do something with, say, Oklahoma City Public Schools or Oklahoma County, would the commission then have authority for the purpose of data collection within those specific jurisdictions? So like, just as far as specifically Oklahoma County or, their employees and things like that.
What did you mean by that, David?
So I'm just wondering, like, say, like I said, if we were to do a joint commission with the city of Oklahoma City and Oklahoma County specifically, and we wanted to collect data that might be a little bit more contentious, would we automatically have authority as, the commission of both Oklahoma City and Oklahoma County to have data over both those jurisdictions?
Oklahoma County has a board of county commissioners, and those are the people who would decide whether or not Oklahoma County would have a county commission on human rights. But if they decided that's what they wanted to do, then yes, this body and Oklahoma City Human Rights Commission could partner with that commission. If they didn't have a body, you might still have an ability to collect information. It just might be a little bit more difficult because you wouldn't have a specific focal point with which to work. But there's still information you could get, and we could look into that for you if you'd like.
Rita, is it possible, can I ask a question? Is it possible, Rita, to enter into somewhat a memorandum of understanding with the Oklahoma County Commission to be able to, especially since they know that this task force for Oklahoma City has been created, that they may depending on, that's why I going back to this historical thing, Mariana, because you want to know who's driving this train. And so if the commission, the Oklahoma Commission, Oklahoma County Commission is open to being able to not only utilize but benefit from some of the research that we may be doing probably under the guidance of Dr. Benjamin, I would think that they may be open to that. Do you think so, Councilwoman Nice? That they may be, what's been your relationship with the Oklahoma County Commission?
Well,
go ahead.
I was going to say with relationship with our commissioner, Commissioner One, Carrie Bloomer, I believe she would be all over this and wanting to assist in that effort. But we have to realize she has 2 other county commissioners that have to assist in that vote if they were to do something. So that would be a conversation we can have with her to see what their jurisdiction is. I think even Ms. Rita may have to help us with that, because I don't even know if they move in a different form or have different ways that they are able to connect with us in that type of effort. And then Dr. Heron, I know David Hall had mentioned OKCPS. Is there a relationship that we can establish as we do this work with data and such with OKCPS?
It would just depend on what kind of data sharing agreement we came up with and what kind of information you all were interested in receiving from the district.
Thank you.
I have a concern.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm with Pastor up here. Is many times you have organizations and they do research, they do data collection, and they come up with ideas, and then there's no budget. There's no way to implement all these amazing things, whether it's legislatively or whether it's, no matter what it is. I mean, there's not a budget from a city or a state to actually finalize the work. It said, yeah, we collected the data, and now who goes out and implements? We don't have any money set aside for that. Is it our intent that there will be some, that the city manager or that the mayor will find resources to be able to implement whatever we come up with next year as it relates to whether we should have a Human Rights Commission and what that should look like?
I think through the information that we had, and correct me if I'm wrong, Ms. Rita, that wasn't there a portion where we could receive gifts and monetary donations in order for us to do this work, or would that just be a commission?
That's correct. Section 1704 says that this commission or any local commission could accept gifts, bequests, grants, or other payments, public or private, to help finance its activities. So the money could come from any source.
But isn't that, I guess what I'm asking is, it's a difference between saying accepting a gift and there's some, designated funds being in a line item of a budget for a city or a county or a state.
That's true. And that's something that the city manager, in cooperation with the city council, would determine. They begin a budget about February of every year, and then they have to approve the budget prior to the beginning of the next fiscal year. Oklahoma City's fiscal year runs from July 1st to June 30th. And so now is not too soon to start making your voices heard about whether or not you'd like funding and what that funding would look like. And then it would be up to the city manager to determine whether or not the budget includes it, and it's something that he could recommend, and then up to the city council to approve it.
And if I'm not mistaken, this can also be done and spoken about and determined through our subcommittees as to what those recommendations and final recommendations will be to our city council for us to move forward with that. So there's plenty of opportunity for us to work through that if that's an ask that you want us to have.
And I was going to say, along those lines, when we were looking at cities, especially those that had established departments, there were line items. For example, for many years, the city of Tulsa supported their Human Rights Commission and had a department that worked with them as well. For us, I think all of these ideas are great and things that we should definitely wrestle with further in subcommittees. I just want us to be aware of that before we think about Oklahoma County, we have to garner the support of our city officials in Oklahoma City, because this is not reestablished yet. So before we take on some other functions or roles or responsibilities, we want to get this thing reestablished. And then from there, the commission itself as a body can look to partner or to put in a bid or solicit funds, et cetera, and so forth. But these are great ideas and happy to have you all at the table.
Thank you. David, you had your hand raised.
Yes. So do we have, as far as our powers go, do we have the power to solicit for funds or gifts, or can we only accept?
It doesn't specifically say that you can solicit, but it does say that you can accept. So we'll look into that a little bit further when you get to a point where you want to begin doing that. But right now, the statute just on its face says that you can accept.
Yeah, thank you.
Are there any other comments? Okay, Reverend Crudup.
One thing that I was just kind of milling over, we were talking about how we, in essence, get referred cases of misconduct. It goes through the AG office. Is that the only way that cases come to us, or are we also proactive? Do they have to go through that office, or can they come directly to us from other places?
Okay, so 1704 is our one that we want to look at all of the time, because it talks about the powers of local commissions. And at number 4, it says that you can receive complaints, you can initiate complaints, investigate complaints, and seek to conciliate. So you could initiate a complaint, but you want to be careful because the city itself could not be a party. One of the benefits of the Attorney General's office is that they can actually file lawsuits. They can actually, in the name of the state, take a grieving person to court to make sure that they are held to account for what they've done. But the local commission doesn't have that authority. So that might be a time when you wanted to make a referral, have a finding, for example, a finding that there is cause, a finding that what happened, that the person said happened, was more likely than not the case, and then refer it, but keeping in mind that you can't take it back once you send it to the state.
Okay, thank you so much. With that, I will ask if our co-chairs have any final statements before we end this meeting.
Thank you all for attending this meeting again. As I said at the beginning of this meeting, this call, I look forward to getting to know you all further and working through this exercise, and just really excited about what's to come from this group as we seek to reestablish the Human Rights Commission in Oklahoma City. Thank you.
Dr. Benjamin?
Thank you all. I also look forward to the work that we're about to start, and I look forward to meeting and knowing more of you better than I do now.
Our next meeting, as you see, is September 17th at 6 p.m. So I'm sure at our next meeting, we will have a more healthy discussion about some of the work that you all, when you get to those subcommittees, will be doing. So if you have not filled out your survey, so I know there are quite a few of us, and I say us because I'm included in that number of 40. So please fill out your survey and let's get it in so we can get to our subcommittees, because obviously, as you can all tell, this work is going to be crucial for us to ensure that we get this in front of our council to make those proper recommendations to reinstate this Human Rights Commission. So thank you all for your work. Now, those of you who wanted to eat dinner, you can. If you need to get a snack, you can do that too. But have a wonderful evening, and we'll see you on September the 17th at 6.
One question, you mentioned a bunch of dates, Councilwoman.
Yes,
as a
ma'am.
calendar. Was that in our packet or was that an oversight on my part?
I believe it is in your packet, but I can ensure that if we need to email that to you, we can make sure you can get it.
And
I think they were sent out. This is Jane Abraham. I think they were sent out as Outlook invites.
There were.
For the meetings.
I didn't hear them. Okay.
But we can all send that out, just a list. We can get that sent out to everybody.
We'll make sure you can get that again, Miss Najuma.
Okay, thank you.
All right, it is, y'all, 7:37 and this meeting is adjourned. Thank you so much for your time and have a wonderful evening.
I never got an invite.